Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to be talking about the brand new Daiwa Coastal TW200. This guy right here has been in my arsenal since its release a couple months ago at ICAST 2025 back in July. And I have put in quite a bit of time with this reel, specifically throwing a wide assortment of lures from mainly swim baits, A-rigs, to some bigger baits such as deep diving crankbaits and some other things along those lines. I've also tested with monofilament, fluorocarbon, and braided line. So I do have quite an understanding of this reel, and I think there's some things that we need to talk about. I do want to mention that this is not sponsored by Daiwa or any other party for that matter. This is just going to be an honest review of the Daiwa Coastal 200. It is one that I was very excited about. You know, the previous model Coastals were the really blue, bright Coastals, and I think Daiwa has done a great job of kind of toning all that down in their newest model Coastal here. As you can see, it is going to have a little bit of a bluish tint, kind of similar to the Tatula 100, where it isn't quite gray, but it does have a little bit of blue in there. It does have some blue accents on the handle as well as inside the spool there, which is blue all the way. You just don't see the spool because it's covered by line. But this guy right here has been, again, in my arsenal for a couple months now, and overall it has performed extraordinarily well. I'm gonna say in terms of comparing it to the old Coastal, this one is definitely an upgrade. There's a few things that they've done to it that I do want to talk about. You know, kicking it off, we'll talk about some of the specs. This is a TW200H Coastal. This one specifically has the T-wing system, MagForce braking, ATD, and CRBB, which makes casting extremely effortless, which is one thing that I'll get into when throwing certain lures. This is a 7.3 to 1 gear ratio. The whole reel weighs about half of a pound, so 8.1 ounces. Max drag is 13.2, which is another note I do want to talk about. And then your retrieve is going to be 34.3 inches per reel turn. And then this one has 2 ball bearings and then 2 of these ceramic bearings, so a total of 4 bearings in here. There's not a lot of bearings packed into this reel, so I was very surprised when, you know, Daiwa really came out with this one. You know, the less bearings you have, especially for a saltwater, crossover reel, is going to be a big benefit. Now, one of the things that a lot of the average, like, U.S. consumers, like you or I, like to look out for is a greater number of bearings, especially like even in like Shimano series or Abu or Luz, they typically boast around 8 to 12 bearings depending on what reel it is. But since this is a Coastal model really made for some of your more redfish and really bigger, harder fighting fish, this reel surprisingly only has a 13 pounds of drag, which I think is very interesting. This does have a clicking drag system, so the star clicks, number 1, and number 2, the actual drag itself, it clicks as well, which is really neat. It's still really smooth drag, I will give it that. For most of my testing, when I did fluorocarbon, which is what I have on here now, I'm using the 18.4 Defiant fluorocarbon. This is the heavy cover. It casts really, really easy, which is nice, and made casting with this reel very simple. Now, you're gonna notice one thing, or I definitely noticed one thing here. Let me boost this aperture up a little bit and bump the shutter speed down so you can actually see a little bit better there. This reel is very, very big. Comparing it to something like a 300 Tranks or even like a 200 Tranks, this is somewhere in between. The body size is very, very big, which for me, I have very long fingers, considerably like bigger hand profile than most people. I just don't have fat fingers. I have a really big hand, which it fits really comfortable in my hand, number 1. But number 2, when you have a reel this size, I know for a lot of the average consumers, it can be hard to hold. Now, overall, it's not the length in the reel, it's more about the height in the reel. I think overall the profile is a lot smaller than previous generation. However, it is very, very tall, which makes it hard for, I know some people that were fishing with this with me, it's very hard to palm, especially if you have a big thick grip on the rod itself. And let me talk about the rod real quick that I primarily use this on. It's the Ice Scope, Leviathan, and Lake Pro Tackle collaboration rod, helped designed by John Shin. This has been incredible. This is a 7'9" mod fast rod. It's a heavy blank, which is made for throwing 1 to 5 ounces, or really like 0.5 to 5 ounces, depending on what lure you're exactly throwing. Again, 18.5-pound fluorocarbon makes everything just very, very seamless. The whole combo is very, very light and well balanced. Now, back to the Coastal, performance-wise, it is very, very good at chucking and winding. And one of the main complaints that I've heard from some people is the spool is very, very narrow, which this is a great braided reel option. And when I did throw the braid, it was, I believe it was 40-pound or maybe like 41-pound Defiant heavy cover braided line, and it cast beautifully. Another great thing is I think they married up the braking system with the TW extremely well. The braking on this is very, very good. Of course, the zero adjust is still on here, which is typical from the Daiwas. And overall, again, with 2 ball bearings and then 2 ceramic bearings, you don't have to really load this rod to throw it, or you don't have to load the reel to really throw it. You can still make easy roll casts, especially if you're fishing a swim bait perhaps in very tight cover. The braking itself is very powerful, of course, with the Mag Force, or was it Mag Boost? I think it was Mag Force braking. Yeah, sorry, not Mag Boost. Yeah, the Mag Force braking also breaks extremely effortlessly. I can literally make a full wind-up cast, let my lure fly. The Clutch OG fished really, really well on this. I did notice at the end of my cast, of course, with the skinnier spool, it didn't allow me to work it quite as easy, but once you got within that like 80, 75, 80 range, everything kind of evened out. You had enough line on here to really get those really good pops and make that bait work. Another thing is this reel, it has so much power, and I can't stress that enough. It has a big size, yes, but it also has the power to match it. Stopping power is really big. And again, going back to the drag on this, it only says 13.4, but even hooked into some really big fish, like some big hybrid stripers, this thing was buttery smooth. Even trying to actively reel against a fish, that drag was working extremely, extremely well, even with this thicker line. And I know a lot of the times with thicker line, your line can really cinch into the spool here. It didn't really seem to do that, or didn't want to do that. So props to the reel and the line on that. And if you didn't know, I had recently just caught my new Lake PB at Lake Louisville, which is 10.22 now. Absolutely incredible fight. I caught it on this exact combo here with the Shane's Baits Dominator with 5 1/16 ounce heads on that. So the lure I was throwing was probably about an ounce, which is kind of what this bottom line is made for. But I was also throwing some mini blades on this rod, much smaller. Again, Clutch OG, Clutch Eco. Clutch Eco wasn't the best. I think the line size was too big. But other big swim baits like the DRT Tiny Clash felt incredible on it as well. One thing I will note on the smoothness of the reel, it is extremely, extremely smooth. Even after all this time, after months of playing with it, I cannot feel the gear in here, which is one thing I complain about with a lot of my reels, because I just don't take care of them. I don't maintenance them like I should, and this one has stayed extremely smooth. Now, one thing I don't like about this, which it's probably just a saltwater thing, is the the foam handles. They're starting to get a little soft. After just hours and hours and hours of using this foam, it is starting to get really, really soft on the edges. And obviously, we have different handle accessories here, from Studio Composite to SLP, and I can easily change that out. So in terms of what you're getting for what you pay for, I wish they included other options other than the foam, because we've been telling Daiwa for a long time that most customers typically don't like the foam. Most of them would rather like the big knobs that you can find on like the Lexa, or even like the Tatula 300. But whatever it is, I mean, maybe it drives the cost down a little bit, which is always a good thing, especially in today's economy. Overall, I mean, this Coastal has been absolutely incredible again. if you have any questions, drop them down below. Definitely willing to answer any of your like specific questions. I do think this is going to be a good bass reel, especially for you slim baiters or guys that just want a little bit bigger reel to kind of translate to those bigger Alabama rigs perhaps, or if you're diving into the swim baits, this is going to be a great crossover, or if you fish the saltwater a lot and you just fish for bass as well, this is going to be a great and easy reel for y'all to use. Casting, again, very, very simple. Overall, I do like the braking system. I do like how everything is just ultra smooth. I know out of the box, I will say the zero adjust, I had to back it off a little bit because of the braking on the side. I wanted to maximize my casting distance, and also casting, super, super smooth. It has the ceramics again, and it has the normal bearings, but overall, ultra smooth casting. Like, it didn't want to just go crazy. The spool didn't blow up at any point, except when I tried to skip an Alabama rig under a dock. It did blow up at that point, but not too bad to where I couldn't get it out. So guys, that is my review of the Daiwa Coastal 200 TW. Again, absolutely incredible reel. If you want to check them out, lakeprotackle.com. It's going to be linked down below. Ice scopes are going to be coming back here very, very soon. We have some on order. They're being made at the moment. So if you were looking for an ice scope for Christmas, I do apologize. They all sold out really, really quickly at like 1 week. I think we sold like 7 of them, and they flew out of here. But we have so many other options for rods, reels, tackle. Of course, keep up with the 12 days of Fishmas. I know we have hooks, 25% off hooks, frogs, lipless, chatterbait, spinnerbaits, all your blade bait stuff coming up. And then, of course, the 23rd and 24th, we have buy one, get one 50% off rods and reels. Reels are going to be the 23rd, rods are going to be the 24th. We've been rocking with the sales, and I greatly appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Sorry for the lack of videos this week. It has been just so hard trying to catch up with orders this past week, as well as new products. So expect a new product video to come out tomorrow, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the Daiwa Coastal 200. See you guys.